Good afternoon, this is Nicholas from Gandora Gaming, and I bring you all my Melodious deck profile 2023 post Maze of Memory. Now, you're probably wondering, Maze of Memory has been out for at least a month now. Why am I now just getting to deck profiles for this whole thing, especially when I already had the cards for it? Well, personally, the set wasn't really that interesting to me. I thought there were some really cool cards for it, but I wanted to improve the deck list I already owned before I actually made deck profiles on them. Not to mention we had the regional that came up, and I kind of just lost track of time. So let's actually get to these Maze of Memory deck profiles and get ready for the next set. So first things first, we have Mozart Melodious Maestro. This card is phenomenal. Basically, once a turn, you can spell summon one light fairy monster from your hand. Can't spell summon other monsters for the rest of the turn except light monsters. That part does not matter. She is just a Melodious monster that has Mozart in the aid. Because of this right here, it allows us to fusion summon one of our most powerful monsters. Thus, we must play it as a one-of. We're also playing one Sophia, the Melodious Master. And basically, once a turn, you can target one light fairy monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand. You can't activate non-light effect monsters this turn, which is fine because we're only playing one dark monster this entire deck, and besides that, they're all fairies. They're also playing two Elegy, the Melodious Diva. Now, this card is actually insane. I almost want to bump this thing back up to 3 because of the new card we got out of Maze of Memory, but I think 2 of is fine. This card is pretty solid. Basically, allows you to do is you can special summon one Melodious monster. When this card is special summon, my apologies, all your Melodious monsters get a continuous effect that they can't be destroyed by card effects. And if this card was special summon, which of course get that other effect that it was, all fairy monsters gain 300 attack. Really powerful card, and it's a must-have 2 of a deck. Now for must-have 3-0s, we are playing 3 Aria, the Melodious Diva. Now this card is the absolute best card in the entire deck. This is the entire lock right here. Elegy plus Aria equals fairy monsters that can be destroyed, targeted, or by they're basically unkillable besides like non-targeting removal or banishing removal. Basically, if you're not playing exactly Cashed Hero or Branded, which are the 2 best decks in this format, this deck doesn't really have an out to it. None of these monsters can be targeted with card effects or destroyed by battle, and this one says it can't be destroyed by card effects. So basically, all your Melodious monsters become invincible, besides Kaijuing, fusing their monsters away with like Super Poly, or just straight up non-targeting, banishing, or compulsing them, which is, to say, very prevalent in this format. We're also playing 3 Melodious Songstress. This card is really solid. So basically, what she allows you to do is she's kind of like your poly card. Basically, when this card is special summon, you can target one Melodious monster in your graveyard, except herself, add to hand, and you'll use each effect once a turn. And then basically, once a turn, you can fusion summon one Melodious fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters you control as fusion material, including this card. It's a really phenomenal effect, allowing you to get to pop out your fusion monsters really easy, and is a must-have 3 of a deck. Another must-have 3 of, we are playing 3 Kitten, the Melodious Diva. All this card does that if you control Melodious monsters, special summon it onto the field. You can only use this effect once a turn. And then you can target one Melodious monster control, changes battle position. That's the only part that matters. It's just a free special summon from hand, allowing you to extend even further. We're also playing another extension, 3 Sotra, the Diva, Melodious Diva. This card not only gives all Melodious monsters 500 attack if this card was special summoned, but it also has the effect where basically if you control Melodious, special summon from your hand, which is really great. So after we play our extenders, let's talk about one of our best cards, Brilliant Rose. Now, Brilliant Rose, funny enough, they keep giving us cards that are support cards that aren't like Melodious cards. It's really weird because we actually have not gotten a actual Melodious card, but this card treats itself as a Melodious card, which is weird. So this is Brilliant Rose. This came out when Power of the Elements was out. I never did a deck profile on this deck, even though this card came out, because I thought this card was good. It helps you make your fusion monsters a lot easier. But I think it wasn't good enough to make a deck profile on. But now that we also got the other card, I feel like this deck actually has playability. I actually do want to talk about this deck, because this deck is really cool. So, Brilliant Rose basically says you can discard one Gemini or Melodious card, special summon this card from your hand. You only use each effect once a turn. And then it also has the effect where you send a Gemini or Melodious monster from your extra deck to grave until the end of this turn. this card becomes that name, which is really, really important because if you don't know, because it changes their names, it help you easily make your fusion monsters, especially if they require certain material. So this is just a really, really solid card, and I think it's a really good 2-of in a deck. That's why I'm playing it as a 2-of, and we'll go from there. We're also for 2-ofs. We're also playing Sora the Diva. This card is also really, really cool. It's basically our hand trap of the deck. Basically, during the damage step, during either player's turn, if a Melodious monster control battles an opponent's monster, send this card to the graveyard. The attack and defense of that position monster becomes 0, which is really, really solid. We're also playing 2 Honest. Now, originally I was playing 3-3, but I had to make room for the new card, which we'll get into in a little bit. But Honest is just really, really good because they're all playing a whole bunch of lights, and Honest helps you break boards as well. So Sora and Honest are really, really solid, and she's honestly better than Honest because she can add it back from grave. So technically this is an infinite card, so I thought 2 was perfect. I think Honest at 2 is also perfect. For our final monster we're playing is 3 Condemned Witch. Now you're probably wondering why we're playing the Condemned Witch. Well, for one thing, she's a very powerful monster, and she's a great normal summon. So what she does is that during your opponent's turn, you can basically tribute herself, special summon a fairy monster from your deck. And guess what? When these level 4 fairy monsters are special summoned, they protect you. So the idea is that she's just a way to special summon on her from the deck if you have no access to her, which is really, really solid. I like her as a solid 3-of in the deck. Not to mention, she allows you to play Chalice, because on normal summon, it allows you to add a Forbidden Chalice or a Forbidden card from your deck to hand. I like Chalice, really, really strong card, and really all great this format. So that is it for these monsters. Let's go, of course, talk about the spells. We're also playing the newest card that came out of the new Maze of Memory. This is what actually wanted to make me make this deck profile. I do not know how to pronounce this card. This card says, special summon 1 level 4 or lower fairy, spellcaster, or winged beast, or beast warrior monster from your hand. And if you do, equip this card to it, and then return all dragon monsters on the field to the hand. Which is kind of funny. This is kind of like indirect to like Dragon Hate, which is like the weirdest thing. But it also has the effect where basically, if this card is in your graveyard because it'll sit there in the spell and trap zone this turn, you can add 1 polymerization spell, fusion spell, or fusion parasite card from your deck to hand. You can only use this effect once a turn. Basically allows you to access poly even more easy in this deck, which we're playing 9 polys, by the way. This card allows you to have access to poly. This card treats itself as poly, and of course we are also playing poly. Technically there's 12 polys in this deck because we also have the in-archetype poly card, but we'll get into that in a second. So here's our other poly. Then now let's talk about the main best card of this deck, which is Orchestro. Orchestro is a fantastic card. Basically it says if you control no monsters, you can fusion summon 1 Melodious fusion monster from your extra deck using 2 monsters from your hand or deck as material, and during the end phase destroy the fusion monster and then special summon the fusion material. So basically it cheats out a fusion monster, then you can cheat out the monsters from your graveyard into it. Now, what sucks is that they're lights, meaning the Bestials kind of eat this deck alive. Branded is your worst matchup because not only does Mirror Jade out your board, but the Bestials hate on his deck because they're all lights. But I still feel like it's such a cool deck, I should mention it. And of course, we also have final card, the First Moment Solo. This card is fantastic. Basically, if you control a monster, special summon a level 4 or lower Melodious monster from your hand or deck, you can only use each effect once per turn. There's a lot of special summoning from deck from this card, from these cards, and overall, I thought the protection from these two is just such a cool combo. I kind of wanted to just show it off. A card you could play just to get around the whole banishing idea, if banishing is such a destructive part of his deck. You could play Imperial Iron Wall. It's a non-searchable continuous trap, but the idea is that if you're so consistent on getting the lockdown, if you can get Imperial Iron Wall on the field, that means they not only they can't go after your monsters, period. They can't be banished, they can't be destroyed, they can't be targeted, and they can't be killed by battle, which is kind of insane. That means the only really removal they have would be a Kaiju, which you can't really stop, or basically, I'm trying to think of any other card, Kaiju, Goddess of Sweet Revenge, or some other like compulse card that does not target. But that's really about it. That is it for the main deck as well. This deck is really, really cool. It It's very old-fashioned. They haven't given this deck really any new cards besides indirect support. Like, that fairy card is technically part of his archetype, but it doesn't mention Melodious in the name. So I just feel like they should make a new Melodious card and just give this deck some more support. Maybe make the lock stronger. They already gave us the Link 2. Maybe they can make it a little, give us some more cards, and who knows. So let's go over the extra deck, which is really, really cool. So if you don't Dueling Nexus, this card is a demon. This is Bloom Diva, the Melodious Chore. This requires 1 Melodious Mastery, which is the level 8 ones, plus 1 Melodious Monster. It can't be destroyed by battle or card effects. Also, you take no battle damage involving attacks involving this card. And this card battles a special monster. After damage calculation, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the difference of the opponent's attack and this monster. You can only use and then destroy that opponent's monster. Really, really great burn card. Helps push for game. Really solid monster in general, and it's a must-have 2 of the 3 of in deck. We're also playing 3 Bloom Diva Melodious Char. This card's also really, really cool. I should play 3 of this. I don't know what the third one is, but I think it's fine. It's 3 to 3. But basically, Bloom Diva Prima, the Melodious Char, is 1 Melodious Master plus a Melodious Monster. Gains 300 attack for each fusion material used for this card, which is usually going to be 2, so it's gaining 600 attack, which is not too big. And also has the effect if this card can make 2 attacks during each battle phase. This fusion monster is sent to graveyard. Target 1 Melodious monster into graveyard, add it to your hand. Really, really cool card. Helps you push for game. Solid card in general. Not to mention, when your other monsters on the field, these guys can't be destroyed by battle or card effects or be targeted by card effects, which is pretty solid. We'll also play this guy, which is actually insane. This card basically says, hey, during your player's turn, target 3 cards in your opponent's graveyard, banish them, and if you do, this card gains 200 attack. You only use this effect once while this card's on field. I feel like it's a really bad restriction to put on this card, but it's still a really, really cool card in general. I think this is a solid 3 of a deck. So 3, 3, 3. And then finally for our last 3 we are also playing 3 Melodious Link 2. Now this card is absolutely insane. This is the one legacy card that we did get. Basically what this card does, it requires 2 fairy monsters. So if you can spam fairies on the field, this card's amazing. But basically what it does is that if this card is like summon, discard 1 card, special summon 2 Melodious monsters with different levels from your deck to a zone this card points to. You can't special summon the rest of the turn except the Melodious monsters. You only use each effect of this card once a turn. You only use Melodious effect once a turn. It also has the effect where your opponent can't activate cards until the end of the damage step, which is a really, really cool effect. This card helps you cheat out your lock even better. Now, it is very actionable and can definitely lose you some games, but it's definitely a really powerful card, and if your opponent doesn't know what you're doing, this card can make the lock very, very easy and help you push. And that's really it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoy. Take care. Don't do anything stupid. And see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.